Welcome back, everybody. I'm Plywood. I will be your host for the end portion of day one. We have two non-Metal Gear runs coming up: Mega Man Legends by BlueMetal and Resident Evil 2 by Iceman. But first up is a very unique game in the Mega Man series, an adventure title that has seen a lot of development over its long lifespan. And we're going to be seeing BlueMetal run this game with Alien co-commentating, two of the best runners in this game.
Yeah, how you doing, everybody?
Good to see you.
Yeah, it's gonna be run this game here. Been doing a lot of practice, warming up to this. I'm always happy to, run this game for any marathon I'm willing to take it. So it's always a lot of fun. Always want to, give this game as much attention as possible because it's really cool. It's really fun to run. But anyway, go ahead and waste no more time and get started in 3, 2, 1, go.
So one unique thing right off the bat here is you're going to be noticing after this first text box we're going to be jumping through, all the movement for this game is going to be in the diagonal direction. So similar to the Ghost Babel run earlier, you're going to be mostly running diagonally. There are some rooms that are so small that it doesn't matter, it's negligible, but you get like a 133% speed when going diagonally as opposed to the 100% going straight, something like that. And that's obviously advantageous in a speed run.
Yeah, for sure. You can also stack it with some other things like your jump speed. Like for some reason your aerial speed is faster, so there's a bunch of times where you just want to make a big jump off a ledge to get all that air speed and being in the air for as long as possible. But yeah, there's a lot of wacky things in this game as a run. It's like from the diagonal movement to the way we abuse our buster in some interesting ways. You'll see in a moment. Like we're gonna come up to this intro boss, and I'm gonna be attacking it in a way that just invalidates the rapid stat. Like I just put on the buster part right there. There's parts that increase things like attack, range, how many shots per volley you fire, how fast you fire. Well, we don't need to worry about fire speed because we have this trick here called Stutter Shooting. Check this out.
Yo, this real fast shooting right here, stacking with the real fast tier 1 subs. Platonic guy just gifted 5 subs. Oh. That's very nice. Not nice getting hit by that guy, but no big deal.
He did the thing where he just ignored the stun and just smashed anyway. Of course, he would do that in a marathon run, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's honestly the best time for that to happen, right? Because you get to laugh about it rather than it just being an automatic reset on the very start.
Oh, yeah, no, if he attempt over, like, nope,
it's over. Yeah, thanks to Platonic Guy for the 5 gift subs. Really appreciated.
Yeah, was I just about to kick Gramps?
You did kick Gramps a little bit.
Well, sometimes he deserves it. But yeah, so this early game here, it's just a lot of practicing your movement. Make sure you got your lines down, your movement paths around these trees, for example. You're gonna be doing a lot of point A to point B for the early game, and then once you're done with all that movement, it's just suddenly like a big old boss rush. But that's not for like another few more minutes.
Point A to point B in this game is pretty challenging. Like this game does not control like modern 3D games do, and sometimes that's to your benefit, but if you are used to newer games, this is going to be a lot of whiplash.
Yeah, this game was made before the DualShock really came out, so they had to figure out how to accommodate 3D movement before there was an analog stick. And to give an example, with my control scheme, you move with the D-pad and you turn your camera left to right with L1 and R1. So you don't get to use a stick. So the movement has a learning curve, but once you get it down, it's not that bad. It's just strange at first.
It's right back there. Grab 2600. Zenny going to be taking a shopping trip later on, pretty soon actually, and that was a really clean sweep of the snakes in the snake pit. This is one of the big RNG reset points in this run. This is like the first instance where RNG can actually really mess with your run, and seeing it go that well is really nice.
Yeah, the Zalcobans are not very nice on the way out, but the snakes were good. So what I pretty much did there in the game story was I talked to the I went to that shop. I talked to the lady. She's like, "Oh, my husband is. He likes to go in there, and I think he's stuck. Can you help him out?" And he went down in there. Turns out he's very scared of a bunch of wobbling noodles on the ground. So I had to destroy them all, and then now he's here. And then as a reward, I get a item to take to Roll in a little bit, who is going to turn that into a weapon. A pretty good early game weapon, actually. Be surprised how many people just disregard it. It's actually really good. And speaking of Roll, here she is. Now talk to her. Oh yeah, also in the story we were given this car, this old broken down car to use as like some sort of hub of sorts, but Roll's working on fixing it so we can use it later to actually travel. And just then, Roll gave me the weapon. As you saw at the bottom right corner, I have that energy bar. But when you have NPCs around, you can't do any combat. No laying mines, no shooting your buster. You can only kick. And you see that? I did a stealth mechanic. This game has stealth, believe it or not. It belongs in this marathon. Can't tell me
It's
otherwise.
the most tacked on stealth. It doesn't even work half the time. It doesn't really make sense why it's even there, but
Never utilized again. Like, it would be cool if it was a tutorial for some kind of stealth to bypass enemies or something like that, but they still aggro the same way,
it's not
even if
really
you're
like a
walking.
stealth level in this
Yeah.
game, really.
Yeah, like there's only some very minor uses of stealth, but not through that mechanic specifically. Like Reaver bots don't care if you're walking. If they're in your vision, if you're in their vision, they don't care if you're walking. If you're behind them, walking don't matter at all. It's like I don't know why they implemented walking, but we do make use of it. In like at least one instance, we'll talk about it when we get there. But yeah, stealth, Kappa, forehead.
Right now, just skipped a cutscene, frame 1 of Tron getting chased by this dog. In the American version, you have to reason with this dog and get it to stop on its own. But yeah.
Here
Give it
in the Japanese version, we just deal with it very swiftly.
One of the major reasons why this version is preferred over the English version.
Oh yeah, we never did touch on that, did we? Yeah, the Japanese version, it's faster by around 2.5 minutes ish, mostly because of text boxes, but you get like around 10 to 15 seconds save after that dog. Pretty funny.
And the controls are just straight up better in the Japanese version when they adjusted it for the international release. The controls were they like adjusted what certain buttons did, and it just makes a lot more sense in the Japanese version.
Can I like not making many mistakes? Disregard that.
You know, the backup.
Exactly. So I bought another buster part and made my buster stronger. And I bought the canteen just in case. I always get it for races and marathon runs because you never know what the heck can happen in this game. So here begins the boss rush I was talking about earlier. Just boss after boss and enemies and stuff.
Me running up here, shooting him twice, running up to this blue one. The red one always gives the key to the blue one. That's the objective in this fight, is to grab the key to open the door. And then Tron comes out with her octopus machine here. We're gonna try and stun lock it.
Yeah, that leg has like an exposed part, so if you hurt that leg,
I
the
did fine in practice, man. Stun?
machine gets stunned. It's really awkward to actually like set it up because you need to move in just the right spot and throw your mines appropriately.
I think it would have been just fine if I just moved back a little bit further, but I quick turn a little bit too early, so I was really close to the leg. On this section here is the big RNG middle finger this run.
This area right here has undergone a lot of changes recently, but the core aspect of this is the 3 flyers in the air are needed to go down first, because if you take out the tanks that are on the ground, like Blue threw some mines at the first tank, but if he were to kill that, then these flyers would go out of the map and grab a new tank, which wastes a lot of time. You're gonna end up having to fight a full health flyer and a full health tank because you're likely not going to be able to kill it before it drops it, and that wastes a lot of time. It's much better to just get rid of the flyers right off the bat. That's the objective. The red tank is always on City Hall there. This is pretty clean so far.
This is nice.
The RNG
Nice
isn't so
movement.
bad.
Come back. He always does this.
Yeah, this guy right here.
Let's go look at the view.
Okay,
Alright,
both
both
poles. Yeah, that is very important for this boss coming up to have a backup. This boss has two patterns at the start. It either claps or Bonbon shoots missiles, and missiles is the bad one. Very nice. And Marathon getting clap here. That's the quick way to get to the left pole, and this guy just gets stuck. Very desperate.
Yeah, for some reason, if he like gets near a destructible object when he's trying to like do the clap attack, it gets interrupted like as you're damaging him. It's weird. If he does an attack but runs into a destroyable object, he will stop what he's doing to try and blow it up. But if you attack him while he's trying to do that, he interrupts that too, and then you just abuse that weird AI like loophole until he's dead. But if he chooses to try and punch it again to destroy it, then it will actually go through uninterrupted. But usually when he does that, he does it really late by the time, you know, his health bar is already empty. You have to get like really unlucky for him to break out really early.
Yeah, your movement has to be close to spot on as well. Especially for the missiles backup that we fortunately don't have to see walk all the way around and go to the other pole.
The missiles are so annoying and stressful, dude. Alright.
This right here is the next boss in our lovely boss rush. This is Marwolf. It's a gigantic bulldozer that's digging through the ground in the story to try and get some treasure. These people that are invading with their flyers and their robots and stuff, they're pirates trying to take this island's treasure, and the island's residents don't take too kind of that. Luckily, this blue robot here is gonna just easily take them down. I'm gonna climb up here, kill this tank, and get some money. First instance of RNG for this fight, getting birds. Birds is faster, but once you get on the actual boss, you want to get the Surbot throwing the bomb. Let's see which one we get here. Okay,
That's
lovely.
bad.
Yeah, this is a lucky run.
Yeah.
Yeah, just too bad I was playing bad up to this point, but hey, the RNG is good.
Better be lucky than good.
That's true. I'm just doing a little bit of farming here for monies.
Yeah,
Is that
you have to
it?
wait till the dialogue ends, so he just uses time to destroy more enemies for more Zenny. Because the money does matter, but we only have to do like one shopping trip left in the entire run, so money's only important for like the mid game, the start of mid game.
Yeah,
Unless City Hall goes poorly, and then
for a marathon, yeah. It's very important in City Hall that your bank/police station does not go down. City Hall doesn't matter, but it never goes down in runs. The bank or the police station being killed negates a side quest and endgame that we'll be using to get some easy cash to massively upgrade the most powerful weapon that we can reasonably get. So that's really important to either not let it die or go to City Hall and pay the debt off to have them repaired.
Yeah, if you lose the bank or the police station, but typically in a run it's going to be the bank, you have to just, after you beat Marwolf, the boss I just beat, you have to go into the, you have to talk to the mayor, make a donation, then go in and out behind the City Hall. There's a door back there. And you go in and out until you get the cutscene for the bank being repaired. And because you spent money, you have to go make that up in the dungeon coming up here. So it just kind of throws a wrench into the whole thing, loses you like over a minute, but thankfully didn't have to do that. By
Speaking
the way,
of
wow,
throwing,
I can't believe it, she's dead. Wow.
you shot her, and now you're running away from the authorities. So right there, threw a wrench in the game's expectations by hitting that trigger for that lady right there. She's running away from some tanks she spotted on the other side of those rocks, I guess, through that cave. Also, right here is a very technical trick, utilizing these guys to try and kick them. Are we going to kick them? Yeah, we kicked
Stop
them.
getting stuck.
Kick clip, as we call it. Kick him. We have enough momentum to clip through that wall. The only wall that is useful for us to do that on. There's like very, very few. That might be the only one that we can clip through with that much momentum. And right
The
there.
wall's like a little bit thin there, right?
Yeah, it's thin. It's like unusually thin. It's very useful for us because we skipped the auto scroller that I was going to touch on. That happens if you actually go through that cave that the lady runs away from in the cutscene. So this is our money grabbing location. I'm gonna be mining up these 2 nests, one in the beginning, one at the end. Nests shoot out enemies, which can be dangerous. It takes 2 mines and a buster shot. I'm gonna be storing our kick. Very nice repause.
Okay, decidable for the instant is any grab.
And storing that kick is important for something coming up in the next dungeon. It's very cool that we can store the momentum for the kick, for our next kick, and we don't reasonably need to kick ever in the run. You have me nervous with that movement there. Nice recovery.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't really been touching on the movement in this first dungeon can be a bit perilous because, like, in the first area, that big area, Blue was taking jumps that normally you're supposed to, like, shoot down platforms and jump across the platforms, but of course, being speedrunners, gotta go for those spooky jumps. And that area with the ice, the platforms break, and it can be a little scary.
So yeah, this room, these set of 2 rooms was kind of like an auto-scroller. The goal was to just get that green chest to fall in this conveyor belt and have it lead all the way to the compactor, so the compactor breaks it and I get a key out of it. So while we're waiting, we just blow up all those floating enemies for any potential extras any.
Yeah, in the very beginning of the dungeon, Blue walked up to this panel, and what we don't know, because we skip it all, is that Roll is talking to us about this panel needing 3 keys, so we're going on the hunt for them right now. Just got the first one, hitting up this chest for the jump springs. I almost called them jet springs, dude. I always do this. I don't know why. Doing this very difficult puzzle. I'll be silent for this.
Oh man, that was
That feeling
I think you
actually
cursed
difficult.
him, actually.
stressful.
It's not supposed to be hard. Well, you might be noticing that Blue is entering certain doors at very strange angles. Basically, the simplest way to think about it is every door has its own personality, and some of them you could enter them from a really far distance. You don't have to be right next to them.
Did a quick pause check on my money because even though I'm pretty sure I had enough money, I did. But you never know in a marathon where like something might just be really off.
Yeah. No, a couple places in Apple Market to be our backups.
Yeah, you want to come out of there with at least 19,260, I think.
Yes.
19,260. So talking to Roll, and then we're gonna do the item development. We're gonna turn those the thing I got from the chest to actually create the jump springs, so I can actually jump high, and is required to even finish the next dungeon. And I think there's only like 2 dungeons in the entire game that have exactly 1 jump where you need them. I think I could be wrong, but you only need the springs for exactly 2 jumps, and there's no way to like skip them, unfortunately. So we're coming in here for
the big shopping trip.
Yep. Well, then let me in.
Yeah, buying hyper cartridge, which restores weapon energy. Gonna buy the laser, then the power razor omega, then the range booster omega, then the sniper unit. Sniper unit, even though it was the lowest cost item in that shop, it's actually the MVP. That weapon gives you 2 range and 1 energy, which doesn't sound like much, but it fits in so well with our buster composition that it makes a lot of neat things possible. But of course, having +4 attack from the laser is just ridiculous, and the other parts have their uses as well. And be equipping said buster parts, and then pressing L1 to go into the special item menu, equip our jump springs, and our walkie-talkie, trusted, that Roll gave us. So in this,
so we don't. So we're being lazy and just not going across the area, and just having her pick us up. So she drives over, picks us up, and then brings us back. It's
a very long walk that we're skipping by doing that. And in the previous room, it's faster on Nintendo 64. This game has a 64 port, It's faster too. Walkie-talkie across the room there, but not on this one because this version has longer load times. So in the story, we grab the yellow refractor from Carden Ruins, and we're pretty much just looking for a place to use it. The game really gives you no clue on what it could possibly be used for, but after some exploring, you find this boat, and in the cutscene, you can see Roll put it in the machine, and the boat salesman is very impressed and just lets us have it for the most exciting part in the game.
And that boat dude is, coincidentally, his name is Wily. No relation to, you know, other Mega Man games, Dr. Wily. But, yeah, this is now a, like, 5-minute-ish auto-scroller. So, like, if there's any donations, subs, whatever you want to read out, this is, like, you know, the perfect time for it. Got nothing to do other than just defend the boat and destroy the other boats.
Well, I'll take a moment to remind all of you what MGSR is. Metal Gear Speedrunners is the community for playing the Metal Gear series as fast as possible. Originally a Skype group chat in 2013, the organization continues to grow in scope and membership with the increasing popularity of speedrunning. MGSR's goal is to provide a community hub for information, entertainment, and passion for this storied series. And you are watching Tactical Espionage Affiliation, which is celebrating this channel becoming affiliate. Your money by subbing to this channel gives you an ad-free viewing experience for any shows on the channel, along with 5 emotes, and directly supports our mission of supporting the MGSR speedrunning scene. So thank you all for your support. Even if you're just watching, that is a huge benefit for us, and thank you all so much for that. Maybe it would be a good idea to talk a little bit about how, like, stats work in this game, since you were mentioning that earlier, like power, energy, range. Like, how exactly is the routing set up? Is it, you know, well, I actually know how it's set up in a sense of why, but maybe you'd be better explaining it than me, because I am a scrub at this game.
Yeah, for sure. Like, the attack is obviously how much damage each shot will do. Energy is how many shots per volley you can do. Like, if I hold square, shoots 4 shots. But by default, it's 3 shots when you have no bonus energy. So the more bonus energy you add, like, for every 1 point of energy you get, it adds 1 extra shot to your volleys. So the sniper unit gives 2 range and 1 energy, so that bumped it up from 3 shots to 4 shots. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then range, you know, it lets the shots go further. Then rapid just increases the speed at which you shoot those shots in your volley. But with stutter shooting, we basically never need to do that. We don't have to bother with rapid. And then the setups we choose, it kind of depends on, like, what enemies or what bosses we have to fight next. Like, the setup I have now, we're coming up on a boss soon that needs range to beat it whatsoever. And if we want to beat it, like, at the optimal speed, where you have to, like, we'll talk about the boss when we get there, but to beat it as fast as possible, you need at least some attack power to go along with your range and bonus, you know, volley count and all that kind of stuff. And then there's some other setups where you want to have pure max attack power, don't worry about any of the other stats, because the target is close enough where you don't have to worry about range. And then later on, we'll be getting a item that lets us expand our buster config space to 3 slots instead of 2. So it gives us a lot more options from that point on. So it's just a matter of figuring out, or thinking, like, what enemies you have to fight, what bosses you have to fight, what's the optimal setup, and is it reasonable to actually get those parts.
Range is really the obstacle that keeps us from just going all in on attack, because optimally that's what we would like to do, but they're clever about that. They put these bosses in our way that require some range, and eventually we fighting a boss that requires 5 range.
Yeah.
So that's 2 extra parts that we need to buy for the sake of those bosses. There's, like, another one that you can just get around by positioning closer to it. This boss is Balkan Gerald. Be shooting missiles just to keep this damageless boat. I believe it's damageless so far. Is that right?
Yeah,
Have you
I'm
taken
gonna be
damage?
sacrificing it like just before the fight starts, but damage up to this point.
Yeah. Really no big deal. And then like these missiles right here just don't hit you anyway. This text box coming up on the Japanese version, you want to be holding X, triangle, and then pressing circle to select fight. That text box is fight and retreat. Roll is asking you if you're prepared to fight this boss. It just comes out of nowhere, you know. The first time doing the auto scroller, could be taking a lot of damage from missiles and torpedoes. We don't have to worry about that. So the reason he held triangle was to lay down 4 mines, and then, well, during that, he's buffering buster shots. This gives you the perfect frame for a really clean fight on this boss. One of the hardest parts about this boss, and what made it so notorious, was the first frame you hold square determines how your fight's gonna go. Are the fights gonna pull aggressively? Are they gonna go passively? You have to adapt on the fly, and this setup right here negates that completely, and it just leaves it up to the skill of the player. And this player is probably the most skilled at this fight out of all the runners. Oh, you show off. Ah, I thought that was gonna be an early first arm kill. Yeah, as long as you're doing as much DPS as possible, like, you don't have to land 4-4 every time.
Can cannon stop, please?
Yeah, this cannon is harassing. That's like sort of an RNG element.
Oh,
Oh my goodness.
there was no way I still hit that cannon. Are you for real?
I thought you were good at Feldinot salvages, but Sonic salvages. That was insane. And
Can we get it? That's never happened before, please?
yeah, that has
I
never
thought
happened.
that cannon was gonna survive. Like, no question.
Well, the core was clean. The beginning was very nice, and then you just got bullied hardcore by the cannon. Very nice way to pull that out.
It ate 2 shots with random bombs, dude. That had me nervous.
I remember when this place used to be like, you're nervous from doing that boss fight, and then you can just chill and do some movement, but throughout this whole dungeon, you just think about the trick coming up.
The stress points switch from one to the other.
Yeah. So the duration of this dungeon is very stressful. It's another movement-based dungeon, just like Cardin. And right there, he grabbed the second part of the jet skates. After he did the kick clip to get to the previous dungeon without going through the auto scroller, he picked up a chest as soon as he landed that had one piece of the jet skates, and he just grabbed the other one. That chest right there contains first key, so just by grabbing that key, you already know that it's going to be just like the last dungeon. Oh, I'm going to need 3 keys again. Very nice. Taking the optimal paths, of course, to get these keys in the best order possible with current tech. There's been some brewing of a strategy involving these floating guys. Blue just passed one where you can hit him, make him explode in midair, and then use his explosion as like an extra jump of sorts. Very weird and technical, probably gonna be task only for the longest time. Just thinking of stuff to talk about. Like there's just nothing going on in this dungeon. Grab another key. Grab
Moving and grabbing chests, pretty much.
yeah.
Really cool boss skip that was found. Was it this year that this skip was found?
It was
Or
late last year, I think.
Okay, yeah, it was about a year ago.
And I have to move straight in this room here because this is the boss room. And the setup requires like completely straight angles, so I cannot move diagonally unless I want to give myself a headache.
One neat tech you can do is getting a jump back after this cutscene. Yeah, very cool. And then you're gonna be using my method, yeah? Or you use okay, the jump up and then you have to move back. Okay.
I didn't trust my...
Yeah, I saw that 2-frame walk, so you hold circle and press down for 1 frame. You can do 2 1-frame steps or 1 2-frame step, but the second one's more dangerous. It's nice recovery on that. And then after you do that, we use our stored kick from the previous dungeon and then look at a very specific visual cue. It's not like pixel perfect or anything. You just have to be in the ballpark. And then after that kick, you have enough momentum to bypass the boss activation trigger entirely, therefore skipping that boss, and helps that we don't need to do a buster menu that we used to have to do for that. It saves a little extra time on top of the trick. But
yeah, that trick is unbelievably precise. We always knew that boss was skippable based on Game Shark testing. It's just like, okay, where's this boss's trigger? Oh, it's just that square tile on the floor. Well, can we figure out how to skip it? And then we eventually just, mostly furry, but we eventually did some deep science and testing on it and figured out, yeah, it's possible with enough speed and the correct angle.
Which, if you're playing on easy difficulty, that speedrun, you just use the jet skates and just zip through and not have to do any precise setup. Which, if you're interested in learning this game, easy mode is really good since you don't have to worry about menuing as much, and certain strategies become a lot easier with the tools that you're given with easy difficulty.
you get to learn movement fundamentals and just have a easier time getting used to the controls and such. And I like how we're not even acknowledging that elevator left without you. Oh, you tried to go for the hubcap.
Yeah, I tried. I got it in my practice run. But yeah, that elevator trick only saves like a second. If you mess it up once, you may as well just jumped on it. But it's pretty interesting. It involves another glitch mechanic we call phantom grabbing. There's things that have triggers attached to them, and usually the triggers only activate if you're if you're facing the correct angle. And if you're facing the wrong angle, you can grab the trigger, and then it'll activate when you turn the camera correctly to the angle that it wants, while still quote-unquote grabbing the trigger. So we grab the trigger for the elevator from behind, quick turn, and then it activates, and then it lets us leave the dungeon because it only checks for the elevator moving up, doesn't care where we're at.
So what did you just pick up in that library area?
I tried to come up with something clever, but it's an item for the weapon called the Grand Grenade. It's the only other special weapon we're going to use in this run, and it's very, very strong and one of the best weapons in the game, also considering like how soon we can grab it, because there's like a couple other weapons that might outclass it in DPS, but they're very far out of the way, whereas that one is just like in a room right next door. And then we're going to be upgrading it later and turning that weapon to a total monster.
Yeah,
Well, you know what though? The Grand Grenade's the GG.
Yeah.
very much so. And not only is it convenient to grab and powerful, but it's necessary for this dungeon that we're going into. So having it be grabbed on the way and necessary, and all those factors just make it into the perfect weapon, except it kind of has a learning curve for actually utilizing the thing.
Yeah, dealing with that trajectory can be a bit weird, since the meter for the Grand Grenade is so short, you only get so many throws before you're finished. Actually, I have a donation to read. Lazy Ace donating $5, saying, "When's MML2 hundo%?"
I had to do it.
That's his answer.
There you go. Whatever that was, there's your answer.
I enjoyed that a lot.
It's okay, on this quality of run, I had no reason not to do it.
That's the only door where you can do something that wacky on. You can like grab that trigger in a weird way, and you still have freedom of movement while the cutscene's happening.
It's the only door in the game that'll do that, and the reason is because like it has a text box attached to it where as soon as you come in the room, you're unable to move and you have to sit through a text box first, and for some reason that breaks that door. So when you go to activate it, if you activate it from a range, you can kind of move around, before it takes away your control. It's really funny. But yeah, this dungeon, just like the other two, you're collecting 3 cards, although in this particular instance they're ID cards. Keys, cards. These are cards. The other ones are keys. And when we collect them, we're going to be... They're pretty much the main... what am I trying to call it here? You open the final dungeon with these. You complete this dungeon, and it opens at the final dungeon. Leave me alone.
Going into this room, this destructible ceiling is only able to be destroyed with the Grand Grenades, the Active Buster, and the Powered Buster. And old runs used to grab the Active Buster, but not for this dungeon. You would still be using the Grand Grenades. And then the Powered Buster is completely out of the way. So also a very nice feature of the Grand Grenade. You're going to be using it on this boss right here. This boss consists of 3 enemies, 3 dogs. They all act the same, but you're going to be just skating right past them, just completely ignoring them. Not leaving the room, mind you. Got best pattern.
Excuse me?
Oh no. Okay.
We're fine.
The AI of those dogs, they are completely unresponsive if you have your camera pointed completely away from them. They just choose to not react, or they're not provoked in any way. So they just keep running into the wall, and eventually they get lined up well enough that they tank almost full damage from these Grand Grenades. It took a bunch of damage. Then after their iframes go away, throw another grenade and shoot them.
Hey,
That strat had a lot of input from like various runners to get it where it is now. Pretty cool.
A lot easier than what you used to have to do.
Yeah, you used to have to climb up on the elevator panel and hope you didn't get hit by fire and stuff like that.
yeah, if with that old strat, if you were throwing a grenade at them while they were breathing fire, they would fly back, and then you would get hit by the flames. It was really, really stupid. And not only that, but you had to hope that they didn't breathe fire in the first place, so that they would all gather up in the elevator while you're looking at them. So, just going to the door eliminated most of the RNG, which is so good. Very good. I'm sick of dealing with this game's RNG. This game is too much.
Yeah, speaking of RNG, this next boss has none. Well, at least for our method that we'll be showing off.
Yeah.
This is a pretty difficult boss fight if you're first learning the game, but after a while you can understand the pattern that goes down. So we're going to be using these last Grand Grenades at specific points. There's like a mini boss before in this air battle coming up, and then you actually fight the main boss, and then there's a follow-up boss after that. So the mini boss...
The follow-up boss is the one that has the RNG.
Yeah. Everything else is up to you if you're playing as well as you should be. You'd be using another Buster buffering setup here. Throw the grenade, have it shoot down the first plane, and then you just stutter the rest. Super easy. In the last
dungeon, take out the big one.
Yeah, the big one coming up. Unfortunately, we can't use the max attack that we were using earlier. Have to switch
up.
We
need 5 range for.
Yeah. Your 5 range is mandatory to reach these wings up here. Be shooting a couple volleys up here, killing the first wing, and then injuring the second wing. You don't need that much damage on this belly right here, but if you miss this belly, then the whole fight is just over. Stutter this last volley, have it blow up, and then you just stutter away at the wing. If you're a little slow, then these bombs that the airship is shooting out can get in your way, but that was really smooth. That was not many bombs at all, meaning he did it fast. Switching out the range booster Omega, only time we use it in the game. Going back to max attack power, and this boss right here is where the RNG comes in. We're holding on to 1 grenade in case this boss does a attack where Tron flies over your head. Seems like she's just going. She's just going. This is the best RNG.
I got the god pattern. Why am I playing so bad on this such a lucky run?
It's typical. It's typical nonsense. You love this game. I love this game. Thanks.
Wow. That's like the second time I've ever gotten it. And the previous time was actually like this week.
How about
Yeah, I didn't even know that was possible. Just flying
Exactly
around.
why I've only ever gotten
Alright.
it 2 times now. Jesus.
Yeah.
very
I
rare?
wonder.
Talking to Data, refilling the grand grenades, essential for yet another boss that's coming up. The rest of the movement in this run is going to be up to the jet skates for the most part. It's sort of like that rule I mentioned at the very beginning, where you want a diagonal run most of the time, but some rooms are so short that it doesn't matter. Same thing here. You want to jet skate through most of the rooms, but sometimes it's okay to diagonal run.
This spiral, though, if you're a beginner, is very scary.
Yeah, you're going around these corners blind. You just have to memorize where the enemies are. You just take your corners while you're not going to bonk them, but if you mess up, it's easy to actually bonk them.
Yeah, the first set's really simple because all the enemies are dead center in the hallway. Eventually, you come up to 2 of them, and you can't skate around them, so you have to jump over them unless you're a TAS.
Yeah. So that machine I just activated, it opened up 3 rooms in the city, and they all lead to something called a sub-city, where we have a key in each one that we have to use in the main dungeon that had the spiral. And one of the sub-cities is in this garage, this thing here that has a huge robot. His name is Bruno.
Theodore Bruno right here has a massive health bar. His weak spot is the spine in the middle right here. You'd be directing all our attention towards the spine, throwing the 4 grenades on top, running up, expending them all, and you want to be able to stutter shoot this guy right here. Very nice tech. Shooting the fence right there, having Bruno shoot it down for you so you can use it for better movement later. The energy balls just destroy everything, just like how these explosions destroy nothing for no reason.
Blue made that look really easy, but it's quite easy to like misplace your position when you're shooting Bruno's spine, and the
Yeah.
auto aim will just screw with you.
Missing timings, messing up angles, getting greedy on the grenades for the first part, that can be really costly because you could be potentially missing out on a lot of damage, so you have to know your timings really well for that. And then the stutter shooting, just stutter shooting enemies that aren't straight ahead is a skill set in its own. You have to know the game's auto aim very well. And
So instead of going into the sub-city that was holding Bruno, we went back to the Flutter to look at the TV. That TV had some interesting content on there. What do you think it was about?
Well, I saw a ginger on there. It's probably
I think it was Chucky Finster's dad,
if,
Chaz.
hey man, if Gramps wants to watch Rugrats while his kids aren't home, that's on him. That's totally cool.
I think acceptable.
So it was actually a news program telling us that there was a robbery, and that robbery side quest only starts if you have the bank and the police station still standing. So we're here to stop this robbery, quote unquote robbery.
Stop the robbery.
Whoa, whoa! The robbery almost stopped you right there. So he shot one buster shot at the very beginning, and then you can do damage to the car by jet skating into it, leaving one damage away with a really cool shot into quick turn. The roll he did right there was automatic. That happens no matter what, and the optimal place to put it is right in front of the cop car, so it runs you into it. The whole process looks really cool, and you get 200,000 zenny from that, from being a crook and stealing money that wasn't even stolen in the first place, using it for your own needs.
And this is the first sub-city. We fight this here mini-boss. We have a lot of names for this guy. And if it wasn't clear what we're doing, we're shooting him in the butt. 'Cause that's what you
Yo!
do, man. I did the thing.
You did the thing. you could kill off that part of his posterior by placing your shots at the perfect time. If you stutter shoot at the first phase, the fourth shot will be too fast, and or rather, 3 shots will make it close up. So you want to space out all 4 of your shots, but you need it to be quick, or else the enemy will pop out, which wastes some time because the boss runs away immediately if it doesn't shoot at an enemy. But if it does shoot at an enemy, then it has to wait for the posterior part to butt off.
This fight is weird.
Yeah, it's just weird.
You just shoot him in the butt and he runs away. That's all you do.
You stutter shoot after the first phase. It doesn't matter after that point. He got the bad pattern. This pattern is worse because it leads you further away from the pyramid that we have to go through here for the first subsidy key. You can go right as well, which leaves you like right there. You lose no time for movement. But hey, you got the cool trick, so that's definitely worth something.
And now we're gonna finally spend that money that we acquired.
We earned through honest means to upgrade the Grand Grenade attack, energy, then 22 points in range. The range is a very cheap upgrade, so it's like, why not? It actually helps out quite a bit, and you turn this weapon to a complete powerhouse. It 2-shots all the enemies that we'll be encountering and 1-shotting the feeble antennas. And that is much better than spending the, like, half a dozen, probably more. Yeah, definitely more for the hippos. It saves so much time over the pitiful damage that the grenades used to do. You 2-shot these guys.
Yeah, you feel like a complete beast with the grenades at this point in the game. So, rob a little bit to gain some serious
this is
power.
interesting. Well, at least they came to me. That's nice.
Whenever those dudes with the claws, they got like crab claws on their hands, whenever they see you, they just gun for you. They have no other objective in life than just hunting you down. So you take advantage of that, and then by lobbing a grenade at them, that baits them into jumping upward. So you know that you're going to do that, and they go a little slower. You just adapt based on what these guys' positioning are. All 3 subsidies have instances of RNG. The second one's the worst, and, well, arguably, I don't know. People have been having a lot of frustration against the boss of the first subsidy, so maybe I could eat my words.
I think at top level, it's the second subsidy with all the dudes wandering around. That's the worst one.
Yeah, they can hide. They can hide behind houses, and if you're not keeping a keen eye on them, they could just be out of your sight completely. But this subsidy is the most technically demanding one. Be taking out this guy right here, and then just beelining it for, I guess we'll call it the right side of the map over here. This hippo can be out in the middle, which can mess up how the rest of the subsidy flows, because there's an enemy, one of these walkers that he just blew up, can notice you and walk around, get out of position, so you have to deal with him. And the rest is a lot of very carefully planned grenade lobbing to hit them in very nice spots as quickly as possible. That was super nice. Got that stutter shoot, running shot into the last subsidy key. Yeah, very nice subsidies.
Yeah, other than our boy Janus going left, but it was good otherwise. Oh, I got the slide. I'm not prepared for that. I'm usually never prepared for the slide. But we have all 3 subsidy keys, and they have to go back into the spiral dungeon, and then go see what's behind the 3 doors that each key unlocks. I'm sure it's treasure, something nice.
It's probably those dastardly pirates we've been fighting this whole time. They're the ultimate boss, right?
Probably. I don't see why not. Alright, so I skated between the first group of 2. There's another group of 2 here. It's possible to skate through them if you're tasked, but otherwise, everyone else, just jump over them. Alright, so here's the 3 doors.
3 keys, 3 doors, and then a cutscene. And then a nice way to check if you're still awake. Also, I really liked the forward jumps for those text boxes. That was cool.
I think those are frame perfect, but I could be wrong.
Nice.
Please don't shoot me, please don't shoot me, please don't shoot me. Okay.
Yeah, this guy's just like here. Okay, that was the best thing he could have done. He could just shoot right off the bat, or he can walk into the left wall, which is like super trolly. It gives you bad vibes because we're coming up on a very, very, a very punishing boss that has RNG of its own. So if you get that one, you're just feeling like, oh god, this is not gonna go well.
Yeah, we're coming up on the Noob Slayer.
This guy is difficult. He's RNG heavy. He requires you to know what to do in all these situations. First one has an affinity for jumping. We want him to do these laser attacks. Either that attack right there where he levitates and shoots the lasers, or the attack where he spins around and uses lasers. He got 2...
Why can't I get this RNG in a good run, man?
You are just killing it with this luck.
Yeah, that was pretty much ideal right there. And then he transforms. He still likes to jump, but now he has a couple other tricks up his sleeve. The best thing he can do is throw a fireball, but right now he's opting for sweeps and dashes, which is not great, but...
Come on, fireball, where is it? Where's... Oh, man, he's making sure I get at least some bad luck somewhere.
As he does, our friend Juno, friendly friend, dashing, jumping, dashing, armpit, dashing.
Wait, why did I think I had a... Whatever, man. This form is trolling me.
And then he has his desperation attack, the raining
Still
laser.
hasn't done it.
Yeah, he's not doing the...
He's doing the same
Oh,
attack.
here we go. Well, he's probably dead before the first laser comes down.
I could have styled on him, but no. Let's just end it. Alright, so time is coming up right here when I talk to roll and hit confirm. And time.
And where's my window? All right.
From what I saw on the restream, it looks like a 5118-ish, I want to say. What do you think it would be in IGT if we bothered to sit through the credits? Because we can't see the IGT until the credits. I want to say it was like a mid-43, mid-high 43.
Yeah, 43, 35 or something.
Not bad for a marathon run. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
I always take a 43 in a marathon. Like, I'm not expecting a 42 like ever in a marathon run, but hey, 43 is always pretty good. So
Oh, well
that was
done.
Mega Man Legends, also called Rockman Dash. Really, really fun set of games. There's Legends 2, and then there's the spin-off game Tron Bond. These are all fun games. They're all fun speedruns. But sometimes getting the discs is costly. But for this game, we actually recently just made an emulator board. So if you have if you want to play this game on an emulator, we have a category for that now. Pretty fun run to pick up. Not too hard to get into. Has a not too high of a skill floor. Has a lot of room to grow at the very top even. So yeah, and I believe we also have a speedrun Discord. Totally not going to plug Kappa. You can find that. I don't think we actually have an active link. No, we do. It's on the speedrun.com.
Speedrun.com.
I don't have one on hand. Yeah, on speedrun.com for this game's board. Cover all 3 of the games speedrun. But yeah, fun games, fun runs. But yeah, that was Mega Man Legends. Had a fun run. It was a pretty solid run. And thank you, Alien and Plywood, for commentating. It was good.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, and we'll see you all later.